What's up, everybody?
Hey.
How we doing? I'm Noah.
I'm Becky.
And we're here to hang out.
Yeah.
Talk over, we've been gone a few weeks.
Yes.
So we are back. Did you do anything super fun while we were gone?
Oh, I went to Florida.
Yeah, you
Visit
did.
my parents. My little girl's first flight. She
Yeah.
rocked it.
Nice.
Super excited.
That's awesome. That's a
I
blessing.
want her to be a good flyer. So
Yep.
there we go.
I love it.
Step one.
There you go.
What about you?
Boom. What did we? I don't even know. We coached a lot of basketball. We did that.
There you go.
So painful. We got 2 games left. It's great. All right, y'all. But we like getting together and just talking through our series, like our sermon series stuff a little bit, and giving you an idea of like where we're going and why we're going that direction. Because again, on Sundays we only get like a little picture of what we can do. So we just want to give a little more like behind the scenes of how we chose that direction and give you some questions like talk about through the week.
Yeah.
So so we're new series, calling it Words.
That's it. We're sticking with one word.
One word series for the semester. So done with prayer. Now we're talking about words, which I guess plays off each other. I didn't even think about that.
Right.
But yeah, this is like a request sent in by a student actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Shout out Victoria. But we are, just talking about the power of words. Week 1, week 2, the plan is to talk over just gossip and relationships and how words influence that.
Yeah.
And then week 3, just talking about like the renewing of your mind, right? Like this idea of like we consume words so much. And how does that affect how we live?
Right.
Yeah. Right. So that's the plan.
That is the plan.
It's great.
It's going to be a quick series.
Quick 3-week series, then a worship night. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week we're jumping in. I'm talking this week. And I went back and forth on like what I wanted to do. So Ephesians 4, like the end of that chapter, talks a lot about just like the value of words, but I think it's more on like the relationship side of it.
Okay.
Like the more I got into it, I was thinking about using that as like the core passage and then kind of moving off of it.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to sit in that more week 2.
Okay.
And hitting relationships. So this week, we're going to sit in James 3, which is like the classic tame your tongue whole thing.
Yes.
Tongue is one of those words I cannot spell. Like it's,
I know.
You know
Where's
what I'm saying?
the U? Is there a U? I don't know.
Yes.
There
Can't
is
do
a
it.
U,
Can't do it. I can't spell most things good, but that's one of those words that's like, that's rough. But sitting there, so it like starts by talking through like how pastors and teachers are like held to a high standard. Because again, you're using a lot of words. You're calling people to something. And if you're telling them the wrong thing, bad. Yeah. Right? Or if you're not living out what you're saying, like you just kind of put on this like this pedestal, right? Where people see you and like, so you need to be careful.
Yes.
Right?
You have power.
Because of those words, right? Yeah. So it starts with that. And then it jumps in to talking through like word pictures of like a horse with a bit in its mouth and how that little thing like directs a massive animal, a ship in its rudder, and then like how a little flame can start a massive fire. Right. So we're going to talk through some of those like word pictures and just, again, it like points to the truth of like our mouth, the words we say affect every other part of who we are. So that's kind of the general idea.
Love it. Yeah.
And then within that too, like it talks about this idea of like, we say we bless God with our mouth and then curse God's creation, right? People made in his image with the other side of it.
Yes.
So we'll get into that a little more next week.
Okay.
But still that like double,
right?
Like you can't say one thing and then do another thing the next week or like the next day, right?
Right.
Can't come to church and worship, then go home and just like crap on your younger brother.
Yeah.
Right? It is like,
it's supposed to be all.
You gotta be consistent in that, right?
Yeah.
So hitting some of those pieces. So that's kind of generally, I think, what makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that on your end?
I think like what you're talking about is like all those small pieces, right, have such an influence. And I think that we forget that our words are so impactful. But we remember words that were spoken to us that were mean. But then we also remember words that were like really important to us that we cling to, right? So it's like, yes, they're super important.
And like thinking through it, it's like I remember the negative things towards me way more than the positive things, right? Sure. Like you could be 95% just like incredible and then like say one mean thing and it's like taints everything, right? So I think it's that other piece of like our testimony, right? Of like how if we want to be followers of Jesus, there needs to be consistency there. Yeah. It can't be like I hang out with my church friends and I'm one way and then I hang out at school I'm another way. Like that affects the way people see the church and affects the way people see you and Jesus and like all of that, right? So, and we don't want that to like just scare kids into like be better, right? But I think it's that like it is a reflection of your heart. And it's that piece of like this is a gut check as much as anything.
Yes.
Right? Do you really believe what you're saying and what you're worshiping and like doing at church?
Yeah.
And how is that influencing your week?
Yeah, because that kind of bookends with the third one, right?
Right.
Because it's like, okay, if I'm consuming all this negativity all the time, then of course my heart is negative towards whatever area, and then it's just going to pour out. But if I am like focusing on Jesus and like letting His word influence my heart, then of course my mouth is going to come out of that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
So we're going to begin and end with how personally we handle this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and just again, words are, like you said, I think that intentionality piece is huge because we are so numb. Like, words can lose their meaning so fast.
Yeah.
In our minds, at least, right? Like, that doesn't matter. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But they influence, right? There are power in those words. Yeah. So that's where we're going. With that, hearing that, like, again, this is kind of your first time hearing a lot of this, right? Yeah. Where we're going. Any, like, questions that come to your mind that would be valuable to kind of reflect on through the week?
I think that whole piece that you're talking about of, like, what do you remember? Like, even parents, like, for you sharing, what are some words that maybe were spoken over you in high school or in middle school that you've never forgotten? You know, and that can be positive or negative. And like you said, it's probably negative more than positive.
Yep.
And then it's like, what do I want? If I'm going to have my tongue have that much control over my body, then I actually have to pay attention to it, right? Because I can't, like, the whole ship moves by that tiny little piece. It's like my whole life can change by what I say. And I think just thinking about that a little bit is like, wow, that's a lot more impact than I'm giving it credit. And so it's like, I need to work on assessing myself. Like, what are the words that come out? I think sometimes we get in this rut where it's easy to just complain or easy to just like think the worst of people. And then all of a sudden you catch yourself and you're like, why am I saying this? So even spending some time assessing like what kind of words come out of my mouth, period.
Yep, for sure. And I think it's that side too of like the reminder that our bodies are so broken. And when we are at our worst, like when we're in a bad headspace, when we're tired, like I know for me, it's like seasonal depression in February, right? Yeah. Like you're just like done. That's when like our fleshly, like what Paul would say, or like just this, like our nature comes out. And that's when we get negative. That's when we get frustrated. So it's like, how can we be aware of those low moments in order to be consistent through all of it?
Yes.
Right. And it doesn't mean you have to be like perky and joyful and the best all the time. But I think it's that awareness piece is also huge.
Yeah.
So
I think too, being aware of like who does that to you. Like, are there specific people whose words really affect you in not positive ways?
Yeah.
Right. And it's like maybe those people need to have less access to you.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Those influences around you and all that. Yeah. I think that's another good question too of like asking kids, like which one of your, do you act differently around different friend groups? And like an honest, like, and what does that look like?
Yeah.
I think is another piece. Yeah. Cause that's so much, I remember that from high school. That's so much of like, for me, it was the different sports season I was in. I would be very different because there was a different crew of guys I was around. Yeah. And you just want to fit in. That's so natural. We all do it.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's, again, it's a thing to reflect in.
It is.
And we don't often think about it.
No. Yeah, mine for sure was a class. I had one class where I had all these people I didn't really know, but I wanted to be cool, and so I would just swear all the time. Right. You're like, I don't do this in any other area of my life. Right. Why am I doing it right now? Yep. So, yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah. So, yeah, the awareness, the why, the reflection piece, it's all going to be good. So we're going. We're excited about it. And I think this will just build really nicely into the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Because, again, we can't hit. There's so much you could hit. We can't hit it all. Yeah. So it's like be okay, kind of hitting that basic part of, like, words have power. Yeah. How do we be consistent? Yeah. And then how can we also be people who, like, sit and wait before we speak? Yes. Right? So.
Oh, my goodness. That's a whole different thing.
Whole different thing. But that's it. We're excited about it. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll see you later.
See ya.